Hey, friend. Welcome to the Hearts Hello Show. This is a space where we stop pretending everything is fine and start telling the truth about what it actually takes to grow. Because the reality is, life will stretch you. It will challenge your mindset, test your character, and reveal the places where what you say you believe and how you actually live don't always match. And that's where the real work begins. So here we talk about authenticity, faith, personal responsibility, relationships, and the internal alignment required to become who you were created to be. So wherever you are right now, take a breath, slow down, and let's have the conversation your heart has been waiting for. Some of you keep looking at other people's lives thinking you want what they have. But if you had to go through the process required to become who they had to become in order to sustain it, you might give the dream back. And see, that's the part nobody talks about. People see the confidence, but not the insecurity that person had to fight through. They see the peace, but not the boundaries that person had to create in order to protect it. They see the success, but not the discipline, the sacrifice, the lonely seasons, the repeated decisions, and the private battles that shape that person into somebody capable of holding it. See, everybody wants the outcome, but very few people are willing to become the person required to sustain it. And that's why so many people stay trapped in cycles, because they are in love with the idea of transformation, but still emotionally loyal to the pattern. Hey, friend. See, there's something that people do all the time that honestly has become dangerous, and most people don't even realize they're doing it. People look at somebody else's life, their confidence, their peace, their consistency, relationships, businesses, opportunities, and immediately they want that life. But what they don't stop to ask is, who did that person have to become in order to sustain it? Not achieve it, sustain it. Because those are two different things. Everybody wants the outcome. Very few people are asking about the process. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck in these cycles that they keep repeating because they are chasing visible results while ignoring visible transformation. They don't know the private fights that person had to have with themselves. They don't know the habits they had to break. See, they don't know the healing they had to go through. They don't know how many times that person had to choose discipline over distraction. They don't know how many moments that person had to keep showing up day in and day out while nobody clapped yet. See, they're looking at the fruit without understanding the roots. And that's why comparison becomes dangerous. Because people start trying to emotionally step into spaces they have not internally prepared themselves to maintain. And honestly, some people would give the blessing back if they had to endure the process required to hold it. See, that's the conversation that people avoid. Everybody loves transformation stories when they're finished, but very few people talk about the version in the middle, the uncomfortable version, the rebuilding version, the disciplined version, the version that had to stop self-sabotaging, the version that had to stop restarting every week, the version that had to stop needing validation every movement. Yeah, that version matters. And I think a lot of people are exhausted because they keep trying to skip becoming. They want the life without the process. They want the title without the growth. They want the visibility without the responsibility. They want the confidence without the consistency. They want the next level without the internal restructuring. But the life does not work that way. Because the process is not just producing results. The process is producing you. Yeah, that's what people miss. The process changes your mind. It changes your habits, your emotional responses, your discipline, your boundaries, your decision making. It changes your whole identity. And sometimes the reason people quit is because the process started changing who they were. Not because it wasn't working, because it was. And that's why some people sabotage themselves right when things start getting better. Because becoming unfamiliar to yourself can feel just a tad bit uncomfortable. Some people have practiced inconsistency for so long that consistency feels threatening to them. Some people have practiced survival for so long that peace feels strange. Yeah, some people have practiced hiding for so long that visibility, that feels unsafe. And instead of recognizing that as growth, they retreat back to the familiar pattern. So yeah, that's what this episode is not just about trusting the process. No, 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 no. This is about asking yourself, what pattern am I still emotionally loyal to? Because whether people realize it or not, they are already compliant with something. Some people are compliant with fear. Some people are compliant with comfort, procrastination, overthinking, compliant with people pleasing, inconsistency. Some people are compliant with waiting for perfect timing. And then they wonder why their life keeps repeating itself. Because patterns repeated long enough start feeling like identity. And y'all, that's dangerous. Especially when people stop challenging the pattern and start calling it, this is who I am, baby. No, that may just be what you repeatedly practiced. See, there's a difference. And this is why falling in love with the process matters. Because if you do not learn to respect the process, you will constantly abandon yourself every time the moment stops feeling exciting. You will only move when you feel motivated. You will only commit when it feels convenient. You will only show up when results are immediate. And that's not transformation. That is emotional dependency. See, real growth is learning how to continue even when the feelings fluctuate, because feelings change daily. Forget daily, they change second by second. But the process is what builds a life. And I think another dangerous thing people do is constantly looking at everyone else's timeline and trying to insert themselves in the spaces they admire without understanding the cost attached to that space. I'm going to say that again. It's dangerous that people will insert themselves into spaces they admire without understanding the cost attached to that space. Your process is your process. Somebody else's process may have required years of healing. Yours may require discipline. Somebody else's process may have required visibility, where yours may require silence and preparation. Somebody else's process may have required rebuilding confidence, while yours require finally making a decision and sticking to it. A different process, a different becoming. And I think people delay their growth trying to emotionally live inside of somebody else's assignment. That's why comparison steals so much from people. Because instead of asking, what is my process requiring from me right now? People keep asking, how do I get what they have? Wrong question. See, the better question is, who do I need to become in order to sustain what I keep praying for? Because some people are praying for opportunities that their habits cannot currently hold. Y'all, that's real. And I don't think enough people are honest about that. So you got to be honest with yourself. The process is building your capacity, your discipline, your emotional maturity, your consistency, your character. Not punishing you, it's preparing you. And maybe, just maybe, that's why some of you keep feeling tension lately. Because the process is trying to pull you into a new version of yourself while the pattern is trying to pull you back into familiarity. See, one is calling you forward and the other one is calling you back. And every single day, one of them is winning. So the question becomes, are you falling in love with the process of becoming, or are you still loyal to the pattern that keeps repeating? Because one will transform your life and the other will keep giving you different versions of the same year. So are you ready for your action steps? It's only going to be 5. The first one is identify the pattern. Honestly, not the surface behavior, the root pattern. Where do you keep abandoning yourself? Number 2, stop obsessing over visible outcomes. See, ask what kind of person is required to sustain those outcomes. Number 3, look at your daily process, not your intentions, not your dreams, your actual repeated behaviors. Number 4, stop restarting every time you have an off day. Consistency is not perfection. It is continued return. And number 5, ask yourself daily, am I becoming someone new? Or just repeating myself with better wording? Yeah, because eventually the process will reveal the truth. Not what you said you wanted, what you consistently aligned with yourself. And your life will always follow whatever you repeatedly practice. Before you go, sit with this for a moment. Growth doesn't happen because we heard something inspiring. Growth happens when we become honest enough to examine how we're actually showing up in our lives. So take what resonated with you today, reflect on it, and decide what alignment looks like for you. And if this conversation helped you see something differently, share the episode with someone who might need it too. And if you want to stay connected, you can always find me at the Heart's Hello. Until next time, friend, keep choosing truth, keep doing the work, and keep saying hello to your heart.